The Mental Health Show with Mark Aiston.
Well, my guest on the Mental Health Show podcast is Daryl. Now, Daryl is a train driver and has been for many, many years. You're about to hear what it's like doing the job, but also the strains and the pressures associated with it as well, including Daryl's account of when he hit and killed someone on the tracks. Daryl, welcome along to the Mental Health Show. How are you doing?
Good, yourself?
Mate, I'm really well, thank you. I'm very, very well indeed. Now, you're still driving, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a current train driver. Have been a train driver since 1992. So,
what made you get into it?
I had a couple of mates that were working in the industry. I was working at GMH, and I decided I'd write them a letter, and yeah, it all started from there. So I started actually in 1990 in the industry, and then a couple of years later, the job that I was performing, they were getting rid of it. I thought I'd have a go at train driving, and that's where it all started. So,
and in a general sense, take the stress out of it, but in a general sense, what was the job like initially?
Yeah, it's a very good job. Very secure. You got to work shift work. That's part of the job. Yeah, it's a job I've really enjoyed. It can be quite challenging. But yeah, I take all that on board. Yeah, I like taking people, getting them from point A to point B safely, and that's what our job's about on a day-to-day basis. Yeah,
and you work whereabouts? What sort of lines are they?
I work on all the lines, including Gawler Central, Seaford. You've got the Grange line, Belair, Tonsley, all the outer harbour lines. All the major lines, the passenger services in Adelaide. So
yeah,
that's what I do. Yeah.
And do they have different idiosyncrasies? Are they different in some way, apart from obviously location?
They are. Yeah, they can be. Yeah. Generally, they're about the same, but yeah, you've got different characteristics on each line. Definitely, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you don't really get a chance to meet, those who you're transporting around, do you? It's not quite the same as being a bus driver.
No, we do have interaction with the public. Sometimes we're called upon to assist people that need help get on and off the train. Sometimes general information. You might be in Adelaide and someone will come along and ask you, where does the next train go to, what time does the next train go to Grange? So you do basic customer service. But yeah, on a day-to-day basis, you don't have a lot of interaction with the public, no.
Look, I really appreciate you talking to us about this. Tell our listeners what is the most stressful part, in your view, of being a train driver?
The most stressful part, no doubt, is when there's incidents. So it could involve a near miss. Someone maybe at a pedestrian crossing. You're coming into the station, you might not even be stopping at that station, you might be running express. Someone doesn't see you coming, they step out in front and you actually don't collect them, but you might, it's a near miss. Obviously the worst ones are where you may hit a car may cross the tracks or get stuck on a level crossing, you may end up hitting the car. And then you got people, you can obviously hit people that are not looking or, got other thoughts on their mind, and you actually end up colliding with them. They would be the worst type of incident that a train driver could suffer. Just
going back to the cars and the near misses with people where they're aware of what they're doing and they're not trying to do anything silly in their lives. They're just being a little bit irresponsible. It's not like a bus or a car, is it, where you can just sort of slam on the brakes and you stop within a foot?
No, you're talking over 300 metres or 350 metres to stop a train, depending on how many people are on board, whether you're going uphill, downhill, whether you're running express, your speed of your train. So you can't just steer around them like you would in a car or a bus. You can put the brake on and then you just got to hope for the best. We've got a warning device that we can activate. In other words, like a horn.
Yes.
That's probably, you can't do much else than that and hope that they get out the way before you get there.
What about a car? Have you had the misfortune of hitting a car?
Yeah, I did hit a car. 3 years into my career, I cleaned up a car. Luckily, I didn't hurt the person, but they were trespassing. They drove in front of the train. They didn't even look. Obviously affected by something.
Yep.
and then I just ran into the car, and I didn't do a lot of damage to the train, but just smashed the car, and the person luckily didn't get hurt. So,
how did you feel at that point of impact and after that?
well, you just feel totally helpless. Like I could see the person. I was looking at them. I couldn't do anything. I put all the emergency brakes on the whole lot, and I was just waiting for the impact and just hoping that they would see me and speed up so that I wouldn't hit them, but they didn't. And then, you just can't do anything. You just feel totally helpless, and the time seems to slow down. Like you've got all these thoughts going through your mind before you actually collide with them. So that's what went through my mind for that occasion.
And then, of course, after that, you've got all the inquiry and the talking to the police and all of that sort of stuff, which I imagine would be extremely stressful.
Correct.
Yeah.
Then you've got to go through an internal reporting process where they would check the train. Each train's got a data log, like an aeroplane, whatever, or a black box recorder, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So all the data would be downloaded to make sure you were doing the right thing at the right time prior to the accident, and make sure that you've tried to stop the train. All those things are looked into. And then, if it's fatality, then you'd have to go off to the hospital and actually get blood taken. So the police would take you away. The police would actually interview you about the incident as well. So, there's a bit that's involved in it after the accident.
You alluded to this earlier. Have you been involved in any situations where, to your knowledge, someone has walked out, jumped in front of a train where they were trying to commit suicide?
Yes, I had an incident in 2008 myself where a person did that, and I couldn't stop the train. I tried to, but I just couldn't, So,
without going into absolute detail, can you just give us a little more detail as to what happened and what was going through your mind, and then I'll talk to you about what happened afterwards.
Yeah, the person, that everything was going fine on my trip, and then the person walked out from behind a big bush that they'd been hiding behind. They'd obviously pre-planned it. I was going on a downhill slope, so the train was doing about 60 kilometres an hour. As soon as they ran out, they sort of made out that they were jogging. They jogged across one track, they jogged across to my track, and then as soon as they got to the middle of my track, they just turned, faced the train, put their head down and crossed their arms. And I knew then that there was nothing I could do other than sound the horn to try and alert them, and then put the emergency brake on, and then I couldn't do anything. So that's what happened. Yeah.
Wow.
So I ended up hitting them, obviously. So.
And what went through your mind at that time when the impact occurred?
Well, you just, like I said, the whole earlier, everything just slows down, and you think, now, why is this person doing it? What are they up to? You're still hoping that they will jump out of the way or just before you get there, but it just didn't happen, and you just feel helpless. Like, I wish you think of what we talked about before, that I could just steer around them, or I could stop quicker, but you can't. I've got all the brakes on. I'm just waiting for the collision, and luckily in my case, I closed my eyes before I actually collided with the person. That was just a reflex action, and then you just hit him, and there was nothing I could do. Yeah.
So, talking specifically about you, how did that affect you after that?
Well, at the time, after it happened, I called into the controller to tell him that I've struck someone. I was pretty calm at the time. It never really affected me until later that night, and then the next day was when I actually felt the worst. So 24 hours later.
And were you supported? What was the process after that?
Yeah, after the incident, there's a person that comes out, or senior driver, if you want to call them that. They come out and they deal with the driver specifically, so they support you through the whole process. They organise counselling if you need it. Currently, we have CID, which is a critical incident debrief at the scene with the driver.
Yes.
Where they talk to you, just touch base with a counsellor, and then if you need them later on, you contact that same person, and they just explain what your body's going through. Everything you're going through is normal, happens to everyone. The only things that are different are the time that it takes to affect you and how long you'll be affected for. That's probably the things that change.
And I guess that depends on the individual, doesn't it?
Correct. Some people are very distressed at the scene, and others can be the next day, that night, 2 days later. So it varies from incident to incident and person.
And this is a regular occurrence. I mean, it's not happening every single day, but it's a regular occurrence, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah, it would happen a couple of times a year on average in our system. Yeah, I haven't got statistics, but yeah, about 2 times a year roughly. So,
yeah. So there would be other drivers who, as you say, would be affected totally differently to how you were affected. In terms of support. Long-term support, in terms of all of that infrastructure around drivers, male or female, do you believe it can be improved?
Yeah, I think it's not the support system we've got has improved over the years. Like I said, I've been driving for 26 years. It has improved a lot. What's really good in our network or our system with drivers is the peer group support. So if I had an incident today, I would expect to get a lot of phone calls, text messages, of people ringing me that have been through the same thing, saying, how you going? What can we do to help? Talking about examples of the same thing that they've had. I find that very good. We also get support from, like I said, with the counselling service that's offered. You can go several times if you need to. And the counselling also extends out to your family. So if your partner was affected by it, which they can be, if you were my partner, I'd talk to you about it.
Yes.
You could become upset, well then counselling's available for that part of it as well. So I think the support is quite good. But for me, the best support I can get is from my peers that have been through the same thing, talking to them about it.
And presumably some of your peers may have been through it not just once, but a number of times.
Yeah, there's some there that have been through, several times, 2, 3, even more. Some have had 5 or 6, so it can happen. It is rare, but it does happen. Unfortunately, you're just the person that's driving the train at the time, so there's not much you can do in that regard.
Is there any other things you feel that could be done that could improve, not whether or not the incident is going to happen or not, but that support during and after? Is there anything else in particular?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, no. I think it's pretty good. Like I said, it has improved heaps over the last 20 odd years that I've been in the industry. Probably something something they're working on is access to the rail corridor. In other words, fencing.
Yes.
Probably an education system to the public wouldn't hurt. I know they have touched on it. And this week's actually Rail Safety Week. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but it is.
Yes.
I think these awareness programs are good. So, I think more money in that area, just making people more aware of how long it takes to stop a train, the effect that it can have on people. It's not just the train drivers in general, it's everyone else that attends these accident scenes as well.
And as you said, the passengers as well, yeah. Correct.
Passengers do witness it. They see it out the window. They can see bits and pieces, and they do hear what happened. They hear radio conversations. Yeah, so that they're affected as well, not directly but indirectly. So I think we're slowly getting there, but obviously, more needs to be done. Access to the rail corridor is the big one for me.
Yeah.
If we can do that as much as possible, well then, obviously the ones that can be prevented. But a lot of it is awareness of, when you're going to cross the rail line, you need to look to the left and the right, like we were taught when we were kids crossing the road,
Absolutely.
Look to the left, look to the right, look to the left again.
Absolutely.
I think that's a part of it. Also, media. A lot of people are, plugged into their phones, music. Yeah, you just need to be aware of, before you cross a railway track, anywhere, what's going on around you. Is there a train coming? Can I hear it? Can I see it? It's just awareness that we're getting there, but I think we could do a lot more in that area, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it doesn't happen a lot. Once is too many, of course, but the mere fact that it can happen, do you think that puts off some people from actually getting involved in becoming a train driver?
I'm not aware of any specific examples of that, no. A lot of, they do touch on it slightly in your training. They talk about it, but it's obviously a sensitive area. You can't, show videos of bad accidents or anything to people because it can traumatise them. But yeah, it's definitely mentioned about it. But there have been people that have gone 30 years and they haven't had a serious incident.
Yeah.
Compared to the people that, during their training they could have an incident of that nature. So, it's very, it's a bit of luck, or bad luck, I suppose you want to put it that way. So I don't think it's actually deterred people, as far as I'm aware anyway.
Well, I thought it was important that we spoke to you about this in this and during this very important week. You made some really good points. I'm not sure how I would handle what you went through, and I'm not sure exactly because I'm not in your head, Daryl, but I'm not quite sure and never will understand how it affected you. But I really appreciate you being able to verbalise it and talk to us about what is a very, very important topic.
No worries. Thanks, Mark.
See and listen to more now at AuscastNetwork.com.